Beyond Roanoke Entertainment presents a YouTube and podcast production.
All right, we are now live and recording. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we are talking with Anna from Twin Creeks Brewing Company. How are you guys?
Distillery. I'm sorry.
Distillery, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Hey, that's a good thing. They've got great beer, and I think we've got pretty good spirits, so it's a positive for both of us.
Definitely. So, one of the things that I like to do is try to find out a little bit about the owners and
Okay.
what their background is.
Yeah, absolutely. So my daddy, his name is Chris. He's the owner and the founder and the main man behind the whole everything that goes on here. And then he has two daughters, myself and my sister. And my sister's a little bit younger than I am. But I was very, very, very fortunate to grow up. I don't know how to explain this best, but with just salt of the earth folks, that their lifestyle consisted of bootleg and old time music, and just the culture around here is thick, and I was just really fortunate to be brought up within that. But my dad, Chris, which I wish could be here tonight to talk with us, his dad died when he was 14, and he kind of left and grew up in that mountain, and a lot of the mountain folks took him under their wing. And so he kind of grew up and absorbed everything that they would pass on to him. And I think one of those major things was liquor. It's just a way of life here in the hills of Franklin County, and Ferrum, specifically Ferrum, is where we're from. And that's where our main distillery is. And then our tasting room and stores in Rocky Mount, which we can talk about later. But that's a little backstory on us. My mom and my dad are kind of the backbone of this place, and I'm just very grateful to be a part of it and to be able to carry on that way of life that we all were brought up in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can you tell me about what products you guys offer?
So most of our spirits, which come out of Franklin County, I think a lot of people would expect, but are clear spirits. And people see clear in a jar and automatically rate it moonshine, but we really only have one moonshine, quote-unquote, moonshine product, and that's our first sugar moonshine, or sugar shine. But we've got 7 total, and we've got 4 brandies and 2 white whiskeys. And like I said, the one moonshine, and then we've got one aged product, barrel-aged product, but it's small batch, and we only release it every Christmas. And we're on batch 3 this coming year, so this coming Christmas, and we just won Best of the Blue Ridge with that one, and we're all super humbled by that because it wasn't anything that we were expecting. But we've got 8 different spirits here, and like I said, 7 of them are clear and unaged, and one of them is 2-year barrel aged, and we're really proud of that one, even though it is only available one time a year. But everything else, it's available year round, and I tell you what, folks really love the first sugar. That's kind of the most popular because it's neutral and it'll pair about with anything. But yeah, that's a little spiel. I get pretty deep when I start talking about the products, because to be clear, they're all 7 just super different and super unique in taste. But yeah, it's 8. It's a bit of a lineup.
Well, that's definitely very, very amazing to see that you guys have that many products. So I've always wondered something, and I know a lot of my listeners will want to know why is it classified as spirits? Is that just a different type of liquor, or?
As spirits versus moonshine,
Right.
you mean? Or
Yeah, because I've heard that term.
did you say spirit?
Right. Yeah, I've heard the term
Mm-hmm.
spirits quite a bit. And I've always been curious
Hmm.
what that translates to as far as the product. And
Where that came from.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that liquor in itself, it just gets deemed a lot of different, just broad words like moonshine. I mean, moonshine could be anything. Everybody does it differently. Some people add more of this and some less of that, and it's just a really broad term, and it's hard to narrow in and really define what that is. And I think that's the same thing with spirits. But I think here lately, moonshine, it has a lot of different connotations, and spirits just seems to be the word that the state of Virginia, and I don't know, it just seems to be the a lot of hype around that word, I think, because spirit in itself is like anytime you got a lot of spirit, or, I think the term spirit has just kind of stuck here in the state more than anything, especially like with the Virginia's for Spirit Lovers sub-brand. But yeah, moonshine, spirits, booze, bootleg, hooch, I think that all these words are just super broad, and it's really whatever word suits people's fancy. But spirits just has kind of been our chosen word, and moonshine for sugar. But yeah, I think there's a lot of broad terms out there, but like I said, it's really hard to narrow in because everybody kind of does it their own way, their own style. So, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. And I've talked to a bunch of different distilleries and breweries and brew pubs, and I'm very interested in what makes each one of them stand out because they all have a unique story of how they started, and they all have that one thing or more than one thing that just makes them stand out above everyone else.
Yeah.
What would you say that the the product or products that set you all apart from the competition in the market that you're in?
I think the roots that come along with the eight products, I think the family ties to bootleg, spirits, moonshine, whatever you want to call it around here, is thick. And just for instance, my great grandpa, we called him Grandpap Peg, which would be my dad's great grandpa. He was my great great. He was caught up in the Great Moonshine Conspiracy trial in 1935 here in Franklin County, and he pulled federal time back in the 30s, mid 30s, out of that conspiracy, and it trickles on down all up until like the 90s. Folks that we grew up with and folks that are just family by heart. I mean, it's all they knew. It's all they had to do to make a living. And back in the 90s, they had Operation Lightning Strike here in Franklin County. And Franklin County was number 2 in sugar sales, and revenuers will tell you this, to Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. That's how much sugar liquor, and when I say sugar liquor, I mean our first sugar moonshine, because it's the same recipes that date back. But that's how much sugar liquor was being moved out of the county. For Franklin County, Virginia, to be number 2 in sugar sales next to Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, just shows how much liquor was being made and produced and sent off from here. But like I said, just the way of life and the deep culture that comes with everything that we put together, it just it's fascinating. And the other thing is we don't have any commercialized column stills, or we didn't order anything or have things specially made. Dad hand built everything from the bottom up, from the Ferrum Distillery all the way to here at the Taste Room and the store in Rocky Mount. We've got a copper submarine type still that we pulled out of the woods and refurbished, and are displaying it just as you'd see if you walked up on a still place in the woods. And I think that really sets us apart because folks have all kinds of ways of distilling and putting together really, really unique products. But I think for us, it's all that our family has known for many, many years, and the recipes and the way of distilling has just been passed down for generations. And I think that's really what kind of sets us apart here, is just how rooted we are and how much we focus on that. It's our main goal here we strive to preserve the art of distilling that has went on here in the hills of the Blue Ridge for many, many years, ever since the settlers come here. They brought those ways with them. The Scotch-Irish is really what I'm referring to. But yeah, it's a really deep-rooted subject, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
And I know that Franklin County, of course, with several movies coming out, Lawless and things of that nature that highlight what actually went on during the whole moonshine era. I guess it would be the terminology for it. And it's great to see that you guys are thriving, especially in the times that we've had. And I've had people say that the whole COVID thing was, a blessing. Also, it was also a bad thing, but it brought communities together and forced people to, I guess, start buying more locally,
Yep.
and seeing how that affects local people on a local level, as far as being able to find stuff in your own community.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that folks are going to have to get back to that, and this is kind of scattered brain from what you just brought up, but Lawless was based off the conspiracy trial here in the county. I always just like to share that. The Bondurants and Grandpap and all of them were tied up in that together. But yeah, I think throughout COVID, people really are wanting to take a step back and size up their nearest folks, when I say nearest folks, in their communities, in their hometowns, and focus on them and really see how everything just circles back together. When you really hone in and work together and spend where you work, spend where you live, spend where you have fun, it really circles back and it helps tremendously. And I think COVID really pushed people. That was the positive for us, at least, that came out of COVID, is that people really pulled together and people were lifting each other up and people were there for each other. And we felt that. We felt that here, and we started making hand sanitizer. The federal government came out and said, all right, distilled spirit plants, they call DSPs, distilled spirits plants, can now start making hand sanitizer. This emergency order was in place. So we got all the formulas together and started making hand sanitizer. And at first we were just accepting donations and giving it out. And eventually, once we got a little more established, we started selling it. But yeah, it was just unbelievable to see the amount of folks just pulling together, and not even just here in Franklin County, just beyond, in Roanoke and Blacksburg and Christiansburg. And we had a lot of folks from North Carolina that were sending us letters of encouragement and thank yous for what we were doing, just pertaining to the sanitizer. And then on another note, we had big companies reaching out to us asking, how much sanitizer can you provide? How much can you pull together and send here and send there? And, it was just such a scramble. It was just such a demand there for just a short time. It was really crazy. It was a whirlwind. But like I said, we just have a really great family, a really great crew here, and everybody pulled together here at the distillery, and everybody pulled together here in our community and beyond. And, yeah, the sanitizer really changed the game for us during COVID. We kind of shifted our focus from alcohol and started using our alcohol to make sanitizer. But that really helped us tremendously. And the people, they were the best. And I think that I hope that momentum stays and sticks around.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I remember seeing posts when you guys were making hand sanitizer and bottling it and everything else. That was really awesome to see, and it was great to see that people just pulled together to make the best of a bad situation.
Yep, it was beautiful, and people were wanting to just stop in and donate things, like donate bottles or donate glycerin, because glycerin's and sanitizer, or donate just spritzers, and if they weren't donating stuff, they were sending just words of encouragement through letter, through email, through phone calls. We have a binder just full of just thank yous and letters of uplifting words, and it was just, I'd never seen anything like it. So it will definitely be a period that I will always look back on, and of course, it's been a terrible thing, but for us, people really kind of changed the narrative, and it really shows the power of people coming together during hard times. So.
Yeah, I mean, hard times bring people together.
That's right. That's right.
As far as the products you guys offer, or is it locally, or is it distributed statewide, or?
Yeah, so our moonshine product, our Sugar Shine, our first sugar moonshine, it's in most Virginia ABC stores. So that's all across the state of Virginia. And our peach brandy is in a select few Virginia ABC stores up north and, of course, around our home area. And then, of all places, we distribute to Illinois. That's just the only other state that we've had the chance of. We actually had a distributor reach out and were interested in our story and our product and bought some from us. So, yeah, statewide in Virginia with the first sugar moonshine and peach brandy. And then Illinois. Illinois, you can get any of our products. But we can ship to Virginians. That's something that came out of COVID. We were granted COVID privileges from Virginia ABC, and one of those was shipping. So we can ship, even though they can't get all of our products in Virginia ABC stores, we can ship our apple brandy or blackberry brandy or copper corn. But all that information is on the website. But yep, for the most part, Virginia-wide, and proud too. We're Virginia folks for sure.
Definitely. And if we could, I'd like to touch a little bit on the production aspect of it, because with 8 different products, it sounds like you got a pretty heavy rotation.
Yeah. Now, just as demand calls, the product that we make most of is the first sugar moonshine and the peach brandy, which lately, this past year, we got a decent crop of peaches, but the year before that, we didn't get anything. But we get all of our ingredients, at least in the state of Virginia, but most of the time we try to stay within the county or a little bit outside of it. But the fruit brandy, for instance, you want the fruit when it's getting real soft and kind of soggy, which isn't a good description, but if you can visualize a bunch of really soft peaches in a big barrel, and what you do is you mix and mash them all up together and let them ferment and work off. And a lot of people add sugar to their fruit, but we don't add any sugar. But what you do is you mix and you mash those peaches up into like a soupy type thing, and it'll sit there and ferment and work off depending on the temperature of the room or what kind of tote it's in, because sometimes we use totes, sometimes we use barrels to put our peaches in. But once it's done fermenting, you rake that cap off. I know this probably all sounds like foreign language, but I'm trying to break it down. You rake that cap off, and you've got like a peach soup, if you can imagine just a really orange, bold, peachy, soupy type ordeal. And you de-seed it, so you take all the seeds out, and then you put that peach slop, or whatever you want to call it, into the still. And we've got a direct injection steam boiler, so we directly inject steam to cook our mash. When I say mash, like with the peach brandy, it's that peach soupy stuff after it's done fermenting. We put it in the still place, and we directly inject that steam to cook our mash. And what happens is that alcohol steam goes up into the cap, and if anybody knows moonshine lingo or have heard of it, there's usually a still, a cap, a thumper barrel, and a worm box. But that alcohol steam will rise up into that cap and go over into the thumper barrel and go around, and then hit the worm box. Now, there's a copper coil, what we call a worm in Franklin County, and there's cold water in the worm box, and the worm or the coil is sitting in cold water. When that alcohol steam hits that cold water, it turns into alcohol. And there's a spout at the bottom of the worm box, and that's where your liquor comes out. But that's how the fruit brandy's done. But you always start with a mash or a beer, or whatever you want to call it. And with the sugar liquor, that's just a neutral spirit made from sugar cane and rye. It's a rye base with a lot of sugar, a little bit of barley malt and yeast. And same kind of ordeal. You just put all these ingredients together and let it work off. It usually takes 2 to 3 days for a batch of first sugar or sugar shine to work off. Once it's done working off, you put it in a still and run it just as you would any of the other products. But that's kind of the main gist of it. I hope I didn't get off track, because it's a really deep thing, and if you can't see it or just really spend some time with it, it can get kind of confusing. But yeah, I think, like I said, going back to kind of the thing that sets us apart is the idea of the still place that you'd see in the woods, and that being a copper pot or a submarine type still with a little copper cap on top and a thumper barrel to the side of that, and that beautiful worm that coils in that box of cold water. I think that's really the image that the broad word moonshine is connected to, is that moonshine still or whatever. But it's the same exact concept, but the distillery in Ferrum, Dad has built more of a larger scale, industrial type still place, just to suit when we need. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of backstory on how the products are made. I think steam alcohol, when you're cooking your beer, your mash, I think it's a lot smoother product, because you don't have any chance of scorching or burning your beer or mash when you're directly injecting steam. I think steam liquor is a super smooth product, and that's why I think for our products to be 90 proof, 100 proof, they're really smooth because of the way that we cook with that steam. That's a little backstory on that.
Yeah, that's definitely very, very cool. I mean, I know everybody's got a little bit of a different process. Some reason I always thought that stuff like that is when that has like a fruit flavor to it was always just infused in, not just made from the actual fruit. So that's right. Cool to hear.
Yeah, I think, we have to clear that up here at the tasting room all the time, because people are expecting somebody taking a just clear alcohol and putting fruit in it, or some kind of syrup that flavors it like a fruit, but that's just flavored alcohol. And I think all the time we have to really clarify that this is just 90 proof alcohol, 90 proof spirit made from the fermented fruit. And same thing for the apple, same thing for the blackberry, the pear, and the peach. But peach is probably our most popular fruit brandy. We get all of our peaches from a little family orchard down by Philpott Lake. They're right off Philpott Lake, if you're familiar with that. And whatever they can't sell, or whatever we can get our hands on, they're called Shirley's Orchard. And that's where we get all of our peaches from every year. And we're just really proud of that product, because it's a lot of hard work that goes into fruit brandy. If anyone's ever made any brandy, they know how much work goes into it. It's a lot more work into brandy, especially for the yield that you get, because you got to have a lot of fruit to make brandy. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing to clear up with folks, because when they come in and see, oh, fruit brandy, this is going to be so good and fruity, and it's like, no, that's 90 proof liquor, and You might get the peach on the back end, but it's hot, and it's liquor made from the fermented fruit. I don't know how many times I've said that, but yeah, the peach is my favorite product that we've got here. Our peach brandy is hands down my favorite.
And I think that peach just has a real nice flavor to it, especially if it mixed with something or made from something. If it's done right, you get that full body flavor of it.
Right. Yeah, I think, and for folks that just aren't really into 90 proof and 100 proof, the tasting room manager here at our Rocky Mount location, her name's Joni. She is amazing when it comes to pairing cocktails and mixers together. So a lot of times she'll take our booze, or just like the first sugar moonshine, and make infusions, all different kinds of infusions. And she creates a new menu every month according to season and holidays. But yeah, aside from just the spirit straight, we have a full cocktail menu every month for folks that don't like it so strong, for folks that like it mellowed down a little bit. And the cocktails are a lot of fun. They're super popular here at the tasting room. But yeah, the peach brandy, for instance, this is a really easy one, and a lot of people make this. But dreamsicle, for instance, you can take orange juice, French vanilla coffee creamer, and a little bit of peach brandy, and it tastes like dreamsicle in a cup. And so, if people don't like it so hot, there's a lot of different things that you can mix and match with. And we do a lot of that here at the tasting room for people that like it a little more mellow.
Right. And with the stuff that you guys are doing, I mean, it's like most things. If it's a passion and you enjoy it and you have fun with what you do, it's not really going to work. You're going to have fun.
Yep.
And the fact that you guys are, a family owned business is another check mark in the book that, I just find amazing.
Yeah. I'm very grateful. A lot of times, family businesses can get funky and complicated, but I'm not just saying it because he's my daddy, but he's a great guy, and he's a great leader, and he's open-minded, and he's got passion for what he does. And that spills out to me and to everybody that's a part of the distillery. And I think for anybody getting into small business, especially these days, it should be mostly passion driven, because no matter what happens, the love for what you do, the love for your craft, is there, and it will keep you pushing on through anything. And that's what's kept us going here, and will keep us going, is the passion for what we do, and the passion for our roots, and the passion for our culture. And Dad, my mom and Dad, they're just they've been great leaders, and it's just a great place to work. It's a great place to be. I've traveled a lot and moved away for college, and dabbled in a lot of different things, but there's no place like home. There's no place like the Blue Ridge and Roanoke and Rocky Mount, and there's no place like home. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, our area is definitely very unique and very diverse. And,
Yes.
with the whole family aspect of the business, I mean, when it comes down to the passion of things, if you're passionate about it, you love what you do, it shows in the product.
Yep. That is the truth if I've ever heard it. And
I
I
mean,
think not just us,
you know,
I think this region in general, there are a lot of passion-driven small businesses here, and the mountains just make it even better. But there's just so many great businesses in this area doing great things right now. And that's another thing that kind of inspires you and keeps you going, is just to be able to connect with your fellow neighbors, and just, keep pushing on and working and loving in your home area. But there's so many great businesses in this area. It just, like I said, I've been all over, and It's just something different. It's just something different about here. Maybe I'm biased because I'm from here, but yeah, great place, great businesses, and I'm just grateful for the work here that I
Yeah, I
have to
mean, and
do.
you're not wrong when it comes down to a lot of I'd say probably 95% of the small businesses that we have in our area, they all are involved in the community in some way. They all seem to help each other in some way,
Yep.
and it's great to see people come together, even you know before the whole COVID thing hit. You had the small businesses that they huddled together because without them, Roanoke in the Roanoke area just wouldn't be as good of a place to live just because there's so much diversity, and especially now where people are starting to open up businesses again or
Yep.
starting to expand, and it's just great to see, especially in the beverage and restaurant area of things.
Yes. Yeah, I just like the restaurants, they really I can't imagine what the restaurants went through amidst this pandemic. And we've got a, a bunch of restaurants in Roanoke that carry our product, like Bloom, I think over near Wasena, and River and Rail. And for instance, during the pandemic, we took a bunch of sanitizer over to those folks, but I'm just for them to still be showing out and supporting us during these hard times, buying our product, buying local, buying what's made right there in their back door. That says a lot for our area, and I'm just so appreciative of just like for instance the restaurants who buy our product. They could buy any liquor in the world, but they choose to buy what's in their back door, and that really circles back and helps us in the community when you spend work play in your own little bubble. But yeah, there's a lot of restaurants, great restaurants in Roanoke that carry our product, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's wonderful. I know we've had a lot of people move here from out of state,
Mm,
and when I'm not doing the podcast, I work at Firestone, so I'm in the retail side of things. And
okay.
every now and then you'll have somebody who comes in that either just moved to the area or is moving to the area, and I'm always curious to find that almost everybody says the same thing. They always say it's a big city feel with in a small town,
Yep.
and that everybody is just so nice,
Yep. I'd say
and that's
that's a
that's
big.
great to hear.
It is. Yeah, the everybody just being nice. I think there's just a common courtesy around here. People are different around here, and I think folks are recognizing that and really flocking to rural areas because Roanoke, like you said, being a big city but yet a small town kind of feel and vibe, or it's just people can live out in the rural areas and get to Roanoke, 25, 30 minutes, and even if they don't want to be rural, live, I mean, in the quote unquote city, but it's like you said, it's still got that small town kind of vibe. I think it's just lots of different options that folks can go in this area. But yeah, common courtesy around here. Folks are just good. They're just good to people. Like, I mean, just like when you're driving down the road and somebody waves at you or smiles or holds a door or says thank you or just says hi at the most random time. I think a lot of times, I've been in places and I'll throw my hand up and say, hey, how are you doing? And the people just kind of look at you like, who's this girl? And is there a reason why she's saying hey to me? But around here, that's just normal. And that's just how folks are. But yeah, it's a great place to be. I couldn't say it enough.
Yeah, and with people moving to the area, they're starting to see that Roanoke actually has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
You have people that have lived here a long time that say there's really not a whole lot to do here, but you haven't looked deep enough.
Yep. That's the truth. Yeah, I think there's plenty to do, and I think there's lots of different spots throughout Roanoke and around Roanoke that you could check out. And I always encourage folks to, of course, most people are on social media, but some aren't. But visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, like Roanoke Regional, like these tourism offices. They're great resources to really dig in and find out what there is to do and where. And yeah, I think if you dig just a little, you'll find a lot. It just takes that step of saying, you know what, I'm gonna look into what's here and really see, because there's plenty. There's it's just doing a little digging, but it doesn't take much to find out a whole lot, in my opinion, around here. And I'm really thrilled with kind of the outdoor scene that's evolving with the mountain biking and this the hiking, and there's just so much leisure in the outdoor world that's kind of erupting around here. And we have a group, for instance, that a running group, and I know this is popular with breweries, that pop in Thursday nights after their run. I don't know, I just think there's a good mix between like work and play. It's restaurants, there's outdoor play, there's beverages, there's shopping, there's a good mix. And yeah, and Rocky Mount, we're in Rocky Mount. That's not too far down the road, and it's a great little drive down south. But yeah, I hope I'm not rambling too much, but
No, not at all. I mean, I know, I've lived here pretty much my entire adult life, and I really never knew there was so much to do outside of Roanoke.
mhm,
In Rocky Mount, Christiansburg, Lynchburg.
mhm,
And as I'm talking to people, I'm learning, well, there's certain things that go on in Rocky Mount. There's a ton of different places you can go if you're looking for something unique.
right. Yeah, I think outside of Roanoke, and of course I'm going to speak towards Rocky Mount because that's where we're at, but it's just a short, maybe 30-minute drive south, and Rocky Mount definitely is a small town, but there's a lot in the works and a lot here that's really special. And I think kind of the thing that everybody really loves is the Harvester Performance Center, which is we're right beside the Harvester. Tonight they've got a big show. I can't remember who it is, but just that kind of steer-shipped folks coming down and enjoying big live music because they have big acts and big artists come in. And the burger company across the street, and the early end bed and breakfast, and the distillery, and the farmers market, and coffee shops. And there's a place called Old School right up the street that's just like the ultimate record shop. Like he is incredible at pulling in just old stuff. It's called Old School, and just awesome place. If you're looking for records, it's probably the best record shop anywhere. Like, he's got a heck of a collection. People come far and wide just to check out his record collection. But yeah, I think Rocky Mount is up and on the rise, and it's just a short drive south of Roanoke. And there's like Vinton, that's where Twin Creeks Brewery is. We were talking at the beginning of the conversation about the Twin Creeks Brewery and Twin Creeks Distillery. That's close. I mean, that's just right beside Roanoke. But yeah, just if you need to get a little time out of Roanoke for a night or two, then there's plenty around it. Plenty around it. And I'm a little biased towards Rocky Mount because that's where we are, but always encourage folks to come down here and see us, because there's a lot of great things and a lot of great people.
Yeah, and it's definitely it's different for me now that I'm actually looking for these things. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you think of Rocky Mount as just like a really small town, as you said, but there's a lot of stuff there,
yeah,
and there's a lot of stuff there that we don't have here.
right.
And it's like driving from here to Salem. It's close enough that you can make it, and it not be a half a day drive.
Exactly.
Well, for most anyway, I guess. But
Yeah, from
you know, it's great to hear that there's small family, well, family owned businesses that are growing in a smaller community, and the smaller communities I feel like are just the absolute best to live in because it feels like everybody knows everybody.
oh yeah, oh yeah, which is a great thing too. It's like Angle Hardware. It's that hardware store has been here. I don't know how long, but a long time, and we just bought a house right downtown, walking distance to everything, and I'm really getting to feel what it feels like to be right up in these local businesses' back door, and to wake up every morning and see Bob at Angle Hardware open up, and first thing with a smile on his face, and then everything just kind of, because when I was younger, there was nothing in Rocky Mount. I mean, it we never came to Rocky Mount. Now it just wasn't anything but a grocery store. So just to see that change over the past 15, 20 years, it's just incredible. And that momentum just keeps spiraling. Like there's a new speakeasy called Anastasia's that's getting ready to open in just a couple of weeks. And these types of things are just popping up. There's a hotel that's supposed to be opening across from Angle Hardware. Center Stage Catering, they were a catering business, and throughout the pandemic, they started doing these pop-ups, and I think they found them to be really successful, and they're getting ready to open a restaurant called The Porch. So there's like all these things that are just kind of spiraling and happening, and I never would have imagined that as a young girl, because there was nothing here. But now living right downtown and having all these things and feeling and seeing all that momentum is just, it's awesome. It's so awesome. And I just hope folks will branch out, do a little reading, do a little digging, and see what Roanoke and everything beyond, like Rocky Mount, has to offer. Because there's a lot out there, and Rocky Mount, it really is. It's a lot in the works here, which is really cool. Because, like I said, there was nothing here at all when I was younger. So, yeah, I'm so pumped for everything that's going on here.
Yeah, and it's to see a town that is thriving and growing on a consistent basis, and new things popping up, and it being the size that it is very inspiring. It says that if you have enough passion for whatever it is that you're doing, that anything is possible.
That's right. Yeah, back to people helping each other and passion-driven type things. There's a event here every first Saturday of the month called Cruise In Rocky Mount, and it's not a cruise in where you come in and park. It's a cruise in, like you drive and you hit the streets and you drive. And it was just a big group of just community folks who said, there's a lot of classic cars in this area and everywhere, really. Let's get together and start cruising. And it just erupted. And so now every first Saturday of the month, between April and November, it's getting ready to start again in April the 2nd. And it's just hundreds of all these classic cars, and people are coming from all over just because of the atmosphere that this event creates. It's just all these cars just backed up and beautiful, just antique cars and motorcycles and tractors. Some people drive the tractors, and people sit out at the restaurants, or like here at the distillery, people sit out on the street and have a drink and watch all these classic cars just cruise the streets, and people play music and just things like that. That was just a group of people who had a passion for old cars and cruising, and it's turned into this just huge thing here. And like I said, that momentum is just, it is really, it's in gear, and it's a lot of things on the way here in Rocky Mount. So yeah, Cruise In. I think everybody should check out Cruise In, even if you're not like a car enthusiast. Just the atmosphere that it creates within this small town. It's such good vibes and such a big energy. Everybody's just on the streets and eating and drinking and driving old cars, and it just really pulls together a really good energy.
Yeah,
Um,
and you know, with
yeah,
something like that, you may not be into cars,
yeah,
but everybody can appreciate the art form that is the classic car because there's so many different things that you can do to a vehicle, and you know, that's another passion, whether you know whether it's
yep.
your thing or not. You know, it's like paintings or music. Everybody can
hmm
appreciate that and the work that goes into it. And it's just like what you all do. I mean, I would definitely consider it a form of art because you are creating something and it's something that you're passionate about.
Yep. I agree. I agree. I think the liquor making in itself is an art form. I think what these folks created, and which they really just did it out of have to. You know, it wasn't, as my dad says, there wasn't a bunch of industrious jobs up in the mountains. I mean, they would have starved to death. I mean, it was just nothing else to do. And what they took so little and made so much, and or made so much out of it. It's just like building a still place. How in the world did these people, I mean, come up with the ingenuity to put a still place together and to build a copper pot and to build a cap and hammer it out and to build these beautiful copper coils, what we call worms? It's such an art form. And it's an art form in many ways, but I think here around home it is more so than other places because it's if you ever get the chance to come out and see the still place, I think it would speak for itself. Especially get to see it run, which we're going to start doing here in April. April's Moonshine Heritage Month in Franklin County, and there's a lot of different things going on. But we're going to run the still place on April 9th and sell tickets for folks to come in. We'll have food and drinks, and people can actually witness the whole process of what it looks like for a still place, like what would be in the woods, to run. And it's right here on the downtown streets of Rocky Mount beside the Harvester, beside all these restaurants. So yeah, there's a lot of art forms in the Blue Ridge that a lot of them need to be recognized, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a great place. I'll keep saying it. I'll probably say it again. But
Definitely. And hey, you know, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you've probably had a long
no,
day, but
you're fine.
I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on and talk to me and give me some insight about your background, the background of the distillery, and some insight into Rocky Mount. I mean, for me, it was a real treat, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for having me. And like I said, I wish my dad could have been on because he is a character, man. He's just such a, you can feel the love for what he does here just spill out of his mouth. And
Yeah, we
I
definitely
wish that he could
will
have been
have to
here.
do a follow up and have him on when it's convenient for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, will probably have a different spin on things. But yeah, I'm really glad to be here and really glad to share what we do. But thank you so much, Joshua. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, I appreciate it as well.
And if you ever want to come down, we're open Wednesdays 4 to 9 and Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays 1 to 9. Or you could
And,
just drop in, and if you see my car, a lot of people just see my car out front and come in because I'm here
and
all the time.
gotcha. And I did forget to ask. You mentioned you guys are on social media and that you have a website. Where can they
hmm
find you on social media? And what is the website?
Yeah, social media is it's really simple. It's just Twin Creeks Distillery on Instagram and Facebook, and we're way behind the game. We should have been on Twitter, I guess, a long time ago, but we're not on Twitter yet. We just got a TikTok that is new, but we're really trying to get into the video game. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Twin Creeks Distillery on Facebook and Instagram. And our website is just www.twincreeksdistillery.com. But yeah, that's our main streams. You can find just about anything there that's going on. And you can always reach out to me. I'm Anna, and we're a pretty small crew. There's about 6 of us. But anyone would be happy to help whoever has questions or suggestions or just wants to talk. Yeah.
Excellent.
Reach out to any
Well,
of
I
us.
appreciate your time,
Absolutely.
and I hope you have a great night.
Yep. Have a good night, and we'll hope to talk soon.
Definitely.
Okay. Take
All
care.
right. You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys, and there you have it. Heard it here first. Make sure you rate this episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Never know who may show up on Morning Talk with Joshua. Until next time, this is Joshua saying I'll talk to you next week.